You're watching the Action Film Writer Series.
Mourning in China, written by Robert Factor. Interior, bedroom, day. Natural sunlight shining through the shutters on a photo album or series of photos. Montage. Stanley through the years. Beijing Bobby voiceover. Stanley. Camera pans through a cemetery of many tombstones, stopping at one. It is an overcast day. Beijing Bobby voiceover. Hey, Kowalski. I can't believe you've been gone 6 months. Seems like just yesterday. I'm sure I didn't come to see you sooner, but after you deserted me, left me, I just had to get far away from here. Far away. Far, far away. I mean, I was in total shock. We see a man's hand putting a carnation on a casket. Beijing Bobby. All of a sudden, I was lost. Camera pans a long, dark, winding road, a dark, deserted street late at night, a hiking trail looking over an empty city, the waves of the ocean splashing ruthlessly against the rocks, and the ocean itself a visual emptiness that extends itself into the far, never-ending distance. Bobby. I didn't know what to do or where to go or who to talk to or even who I was. Close up on Beijing Bobby's eyes. He's wearing dark shades, and that is all we see. I couldn't face the reality that I wouldn't see you again. I wouldn't get your big warm hugs and comforting handshake ever again. I was totally lost, man. I wasn't me anymore. Camera pans from his feet to his head in slow motion. This is the first time we see him. He's a man in his 40s, of average height and weight. He's dressed in full Chinese garb. Beijing Bobby. I mean, look at me. This isn't the guy you knew. I don't even know the guy you knew, or even the guy that I knew. We see doors closing, window shutters closing, lights being turned off, the phone taken off the hook. The house is in complete darkness. Beijing Bobby. You know what I did? I shut myself off from everything and everyone around me. He is sitting in front of the TV set with the reflection of the screen, the only light in the room, reflecting off his face. Camera pans very quickly over some Kung Fu movie DVDs. Beijing Bobby voiceover. For a while I just watched Kung Fu movies. How crazy is that? I'm not even into Kung Fu. We see a plane flying overhead. Beijing Bobby voiceover. And then I just jumped on a plane. I wanted to get away from here. Lose myself in another world. You know where I ended up? In another world. Camera pans the Chinese flag, then the streets of Chinatown. Stores, restaurants, gift shops, markets, dragons, Chinese people. Beijing Bobby. In China. I was lost. Lost in China. We see him sitting on a bus stop surrounded by China. We see the faces of Chinese women, young and old, walking down the streets. Bobby. I even have Chinese women asking me if I'm mixed with Chinese blood. I don't even know anymore, so I tell them something stupid like, he is now standing in front of the mirror with his shades off, looking very close at his face and eyes. He's wearing a Chinese robe and hat. It's just that I'm getting older and my eyes are getting smaller. Close up a photo of Stanley and Beijing Bobby. Bobby. Then one day, I was thinking about us, and I knew I had to come and see you. Insert of cemetery in his tombstone. Camera pans up into the sky where some light is shining through the trees. Beijing Bobby voiceover. What am I going to do with my life, Kowalski? Camera pans several Chinese chimes hanging from a tree and on a front porch. We follow the camera up a red porch, red door, and the brass head of a Chinese man's face on the front door. It could be that of Confucius. We go into the house to see nothing but Chinese decor everywhere. There's so much it looks like a Chinese antique store. There are figurines, Buddhas, pottery, paintings, furniture, etc. We go into the bedroom and see the bedroom, and it looks like a room somewhere in China. Beijing Bobby voiceover, imitating Brando. Kowalski, Stanley Kowalski. I remember when we were young and we first met. You looked just like a young Marlon Brando when he played Stanley Kowalski in A Streetcar Named Desire. I mean, you weren't the slob he was. Been calling you that ever since. Stanley Kowalski. We see a photo of the program of A Streetcar Named Desire. Beijing Bobby. Voiceover. There's a long pause. I can't even go to our favorite bar. Remember we used to sit at the bar and pick up girls? We'd always say to each other that we'd never get married because we were having too much fun. NC.